Hey everybody, thanks for tuning in. This is Adam from Adam's Ipod, www.adamipodreviews.blogspot.com. You are in luck because it is hot outside and I do not want to mow the lawn. But if I record a video, I can maybe push it off until it starts raining and then I won't have to do it. So what I'm going to do today, tell a couple of stories about some people that I met, famous people that I met, and I put famous in quotes because these are Christian artists, and so famous is kind of a relative term. The first one was when I met Leigh Bingham from Sixpence None the Richer. This was '94, I believe, and Sixpence None the Richer was playing at Kingdom Bound, and Kingdom Bound was a Christian music festival, probably still is, I don't know if it's still going on, and it was at Darien Lake, which is Six Flags. I think it's back to Darien Lake now. But anyway, we went yearly, and this particular year, Sixpence None the Richer was there, and I had a girlfriend at the time who liked Sixpence None the Richer, so she went too. And we, the good thing about Kingdom Bound is that the artists were really available. You could just sort of be walking around, and you'd see, you know, Al Denson riding the Viper, or you'd be standing in line to get a hot dog, and behind you is Toby Mac wanting to get a hot dog. It was really weird. So that, I mean, they would just walk around the park, and sometimes they'd be available. And my girlfriend at the time, we were walking around, and we saw this little girl with a bunch of people surrounding her, and we heard her, and she was like, "Hi, I'm Leigh Bingham. Hi, I'm Leigh Bingham." She's Nash now. She was Bingham then. And we were like, that's Leigh Bingham from Sixpence. We should go. Yeah. So we walked over there, and sure enough, she was, just standing around meeting people, and she'd shake her hand. She held her hand out and shake her hand. And be, "Hi, I'm Leigh Bingham." Like, we didn't know who she was. But, she was nice and sweet and very polite. And my girlfriend at the time was telling her about how she had written some papers in school, and she had to do a project where they had to do a song and write about a song. And she picked Meaningless from Sixpence None the Richer's debut album, The Fatherless and the Widow, and told her about that, and, it was all well and good. And after a while, we left her alone because you don't want to just hover. So we left her alone, and then later, and I can't remember what the time frame is, but it was later. And my girlfriend at the time wanted to go and see Newsboys with all the other group because we went with a youth group. And I did not go because I am a firm believer that the Newsboys are the devil's music, and I wanted no part of that. So I didn't go. But she did ask me to go get her Sixpence shirt signed at the Sixpence booth. So I went and got the shirt signed, and I gave it to her, and I said, "Hey, yeah, we talked to you later." And she's like, "Oh, yeah, yeah." And then she signed it, and she said, to her, I had her sign it to my girlfriend, and she said, she wrote something like, "Thanks for writing papers about us," or something. And I was like, "Oh, wow, that's really cool." I mean, that was out of all the hundreds of people that she probably met that day, she actually remembered my girlfriend and me and us talking and that whole conversation. And that, I thought that was pretty amazing. And she was just a nice, sweet person, and didn't make me like Sixpence any less, I can tell you that right now. So that's one of my stories. That's one of my favorite stories because it was just she was so nice. My other story is a little bit more goofballs. It involves Roger Martinez from Vengeance Rising. As a lot of people know, Vengeance Rising was a Christian thrash metal band from early 80s, late 80s, early 90s rather. And Roger was the vocalist, and he was often actually at Kingdom Bound. The band never played there, but he was there selling merchandise and stuff like that, and so we talked to him a lot, and he was there, and I kind of really looked up to him as sort of my, Christian metal hero or whatever. And I ordered shirts from him and wrote him letters, and excuse me. And so one day, and this is many years later, this is around 2005. One day I was driving home from work. I was working construction in Florida, and I call on my cell phone, and I answer it. I'm like, "Hello?" I was like, "Hey, is this Adam?" "Yeah." "Hey, man, this is Roger Martinez, from Vengeance Rising?" And I'm like, what? Yeah, man, you wrote me a letter, you know, a long time ago when you're like 16 or something. You put your phone number in there, and I just want to call you and say, he was saying, he wanted to say hi or whatever. I guess he was doing, he was trying to get people interested in his mortgage thing. And so here I am driving home talking to Roger Martinez on the phone randomly. I mean, he apparently called my parents because that's the number I gave him at the time when I was, you know, whenever I was. Wrote that letter. And I remember writing the letter because it was just before his sort of apostasy, right before the letter he sent out to a lot of different people with the F word in it and everything. And I was trying to encourage him because he seemed really down, and I left my number, and then he calls me 2005. So this was like 93, 2005, he gives me a phone call. And he's like, yeah, I'm writing a new book, and I'd like to send you a chapter and see what you think about it. And I was like, yeah, sure. And I gave him my email address, and he sent me the chapter of the book. And it was mortgage something. I mean, it was just like numbers and jargon, and I was like, I don't even know anything about it, but I couldn't make heads or tails of it at any rate. And so that phone call, and then I immediately got on the phone to my cousin. I was like, you'll never guess who called me. Oh my word, Roger Martinez called me. She's like, what? No. Yeah, Roger Martinez called me. And that wasn't the last time, because once that man knows that he can call you on the phone, he will call you again. And he did. So a couple of times he called me, and he just left me voicemail messages, and I get to the point where I was like, I'd check my phone and I'd see it was Roger, and I'm like, yeah, just ignore that. But yeah, I had to ignore Roger Martinez calling me on the phone. How weird is that? And he, you know, eventually stopped calling and still doing his mortgage thing, I guess, but that was crazy. I couldn't believe Roger Martinez was calling me, let alone that I had to like ignore phone calls from Roger Martinez. But that's it. Just a couple weird stories. Thank you for watching. If you liked the video, like, comment, subscribe. Be sure to check out my website, Adam's Ipod, www.adamipodreviews.blogspot.com. And tune in next time. Thank you very much. Bye.